For another amazing episode of Ask a Traffic Cop, where I answer your questions for at least an hour. That's how this all works. So if you've got questions, we've got answers. Joining me very shortly in this chair here will be Sergeant Murray Campbell. And yeah, let's make this happen. So Suno.ai intro song now. Did it work? Now.
Driving down the road, feeling the flow. Got a question in mind, gotta let it go. Calling Sean the cop, he's got the know-how. Gonna keep you safe, show you how. You're stuck in a jam, can't catch a break. Wondering why your commute feels like a mistake. But Sean's here to help to ease your fears. Gonna give you answers, wipe away those tears. Ask a traffic cop, get the knowledge you need. Sean's on the line, here to take the lead. He's your traffic savior, keeping you on track, avoiding those tickets. No turning back.
That was the wrong camera. I pressed the wrong That's the camera from my desk that was looking up my nose. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday, where we're doing this again. It's what we always do. It is Ask a Traffic Cop. I just explained it on the preview. I hope you're doing well. I hope this works out well. This is a very different setup, and I don't have my normal microphone. It's over there, and I miss it already because this one doesn't sound as good. This seat is reserved in advance for Sergeant Murray Campbell, who may or may not join us. He may have been called away. We'll know soon. But we'll see how it goes. We are currently broadcasting. Do you know where we're currently broadcasting? If you didn't know, we're going to tell you. Let's see here. This button. Yes, we're currently on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and of course, Twitter, now known as X. Yeah. It's everywhere that you are, and if there's somewhere that we're not that you think we should be, please let me know. You can go to TrafficCop.ca and drop me a message, and I put up an extra tab there. If you think you should be on the podcast, let me know. If you think I should be on your podcast, let me know. There is a form that you can contact me for that very purpose, because collaboration is awesome. We want to make great content for you, and maybe you're part of that. Anyway, let me know. Let's see here. If you cannot join us live, we do record this because it's on the internet. Then we upload it to different platforms so that you can get it on your podcast app. And that's really where it's at. If you can get this on your podcast app, you can drive legally with it and not bring your data. Legally, because it's audio only on the podcast. At least it should be. Let's see what's going on. I got to talk to you about a couple of things before we get into really questions. And of course, I'm off my game. Let's see here. I'm not signed in on that account. Bah humbug. Oh, you know where I can go to? This is where I'll go. I will use my trusty iPhone. Yes, I use the iPhone for so many things. X, look at that. Because I want to talk to you about the Division 0 enforcement team. It's what I talk about every day. It's as though they're paying me to advertise without actually paying me. You see, they're a group of officers that focus on traffic safety every single day. They go out and change driver behavior, and they do it by way of giving tickets. Tickets aren't fun. They're not supposed to be fun. But they do change. They don't change everyone's behavior. I wish they did, because that would mean you'd get one ticket and you'd never have an issue again. But many people need multiple tickets. In fact, they need intervention to the level of losing their license. Now, these officers focus on speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. Those are the offenses, the behaviors that they choose to engage in that lead to serious injury and death on our roads. You can avoid all those tickets and problems by not committing those offenses. Then we have time to focus on things like license plate covers that make everybody so happy. Today, they are focused in 32 Division and 51 Division. Those are neighborhoods like Downsview, Willowdale, Newtonbrook, Bathurst Manor, St. Jamestown, Cabbagetown, Riverdale, Church and Young, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. We put it out on our Twitter account, X. We put it out on Instagram. We put it out on Threads, which is a platform I don't even understand why it exists. But anyway, we put it out everywhere so that you can get information. If you live in those neighborhoods, you want to know when we're there working to protect you. And we're there to protect people every day. Yeah. So let's get into the chat. Instead of having big screens in front of me, I have two laptops. So when I'm staring down, it's because I'm trying to get messages from you. Good morning from Paul, who says, good morning all. Hi, Sean. Welcome to a glorious Tuesday. Oh, and I just noticed here that the TikTok linkage is not working. So let me try and fix that quickly. I do have a trick. This has been working really consistently, and it's a little bit troublesome that it isn't working this morning. But, why should it work when things are, new studio environment? Why make life easy? All right, I've hopefully reset it. Hey, there it is. It's not working. Okay, that was an easy fix. Maybe too easy. Julie says, good morning, everyone. Jordan LeDuc says, good morning, Sean. Good morning to you. So Paul says, the Blue Knights, the round table. You know what? This was supposed to come here today. Okay, it was originally supposed to be here a long time ago. Then it was expected on Monday. Then they said, no, not Monday, Tuesday. So I got ready for Tuesday, and lo and behold, here I am already having it before 2. We got it yesterday. And if you were here yesterday, you saw it already, but trying to figure out how to do this right. Now, these are tabletop mic stands, and I wanted to have the big booms, but the big booms require us to drill holes. I don't know if I can drill a hole in this crest. I don't know if I feel right about it. In any case, let me know what you think about the new table. It's very sturdy as I bang on the table and make noise for you. Let's see here. We got LJ, and who says, good morning. The new table and setup looks great. I'm glad you like it. I'm really eager to see how this goes. And this is still a single camera setup. I have 2 other cameras to give us views so that we could have multiple. I could do the camera B and look over here and still. Anyway, things are getting better every day. Tim Shallow says, good morning, Sean. Good morning, Tim. Let's see here. Jacked Up to the Magnificent says, first time impaired driving should lose a license for life. It's never an accident. Well, yeah, accidents are whoopsie-doos that nobody's at fault for. But no, people make decisions that lead up to getting behind the wheel of a motor vehicle. And of course, there are no accidents. There are collisions and there are mistakes, but the mistakes are still things you have to own up and pay for. Yeah. Boy Mom says, good morning, Sean and Murray. Should he join? And should I text him? Should I say, where are you? Because he told me, he said, I want to sit at the table today. So I made it all happen. And where is he? I don't know. But he's probably doing stuff and things that are important. That's generally how it works. Oh no, it's not working again. We have intermittent. I'm going to try and reset it again. Just I see way more action. Let's see here. Maybe I turn relay mode off. Does this start working? We'll find out in a second. I just see lots of, now it's working again. Okay, Parker says, if there's a bad crash and vehicle had amber lights, can they stop and help until police fire come? So if there's a crash, whether you have amber lights or you're turning on your hazards, which are generally amber lights, you can just take into consideration your safety before you get involved. If you have to, it's great. Block with your car, try and give yourself enough space, get on the horn, call emergency services, make sure they're on the way. And then you can move into doing more to help. If you're a first aid qualified person, help is help. And helping people is what we do. So if you're able to convey information to emergency services, keep them on the line, give them updates, if you can get status, whatever you can do is appreciated. Okay. By the way, if you don't already follow us, please do. You can like, subscribe, share the live, tap that screen until your fingers go numb if you happen to be on TikTok. We got a slow start in that room, but you know what? The more the merrier. And of course, we've got tons of people that are moving in on other platforms. Lately, and I'm shocked by this, X is the #1 platform where we're seeing activity. Most people right now, maybe I'm speaking out of turn. Let's have a look. No, we have way more people on TikTok right now. 76 people live watching in the room. We have 40 people watching elsewhere. So over 100 folks watching the live stream. That's success as far as I'm concerned. But more is merrier, and we'll keep on working away. Jerry Joe says, good morning, Sean. Good morning to you. And then we have Neha, who says, can you be charged with red light offense if an ambulance was behind you with lights and sirens? Yes. Is it likely that we're going to be sitting there trying to give you a ticket for running the red light? No, but you can't do it legally. If you were to enter that intersection on a red light, you'd be breaking the law. If you caused a collision, you'd be responsible. It would be your fault. what any good and self-respecting emergency services driver is going to do is likely disable their lights and sirens until the light turns green, because they know you have no lawful authority to enter the intersection. And they would be, a catalyst in that problem or in that situation if it goes south. So the big thing is, we would go contraflow. We would go into oncoming traffic if we were approaching a stale red. If we were in the intersection already or in the pack waiting for it to turn green, we probably wouldn't activate our equipment until it turned green, just because we understand the unfortunate situation we put you in, which is where you want to help, and then you get into trouble because of it. Okay. Ghost Nation says, bet you 1K you couldn't catch me in 24 hours. Are we? What kind of race are we talking about? Is it like? What kind of race are we talking about? Running? No, I'm injured. There was never a day I would beat you in a running race. But are you trying to race? What kind of silliness are you talking about? Anyway, moving on. Soko7 says, buying stolen car from Facebook Marketplace is illegal? ? Yeah. When you add the word stolen into a scenario, I think the de facto answer is illegal. Just saying. Without having to really get deep down into it. Emma, good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Let's have a look here. I want to see if we've got any Instagram people that I've been ignoring. And I have. We've got questions in Instagram. Let's say Capillion says, hey, whose fault if a parked car door hits my car as I'm pulling into a car spot? Whose fault is it if so somebody opens their door into you, as opposed to the parked car that's uninhabited opens the door randomly into you? Hey, listen, if they're opening the door into you, that's a problem. You're responsible as the moving vehicle to ensure it's safe. But if they happen to open the door into you, they're party to it. So it's private property as opposed to a moving violation that would garner a ticket or charges. But insurance would likely divide that and say you're both responsible. That's an insurance question, because we would mark it down as somebody opened the car door into you, depending on where the contact was. If it was open and you drove into it, you're going to weigh more of the responsibility. If they opened it to the side of your car as you were driving in, then they were really out to lunch, weren't they? All right. By the way, how's my audio? Don't like this microphone in comparison to my SM7B, but it is what it is. I didn't want to unscrew it for just now. But hey. Okay. Let me know. We got more questions here. And Orangam says, actually, I got a ticket. I forgot to carry my driver's license. Hard, but I have soft copy, but officer issued ticket. Oh, forgot to carry the hard license, which is called the driver's license. The soft copy that they're referring to is called a photo, and it's not acceptable. We don't accept photos of driver's licenses. Very nice to get us the information that you get us, like the spelling of your name, but it's not a license. Doesn't have all the security features, doesn't have all the information on the back of the license, it's just not a license. You're required by law to carry your license, not pictures of it. And I imagine most people have a wallet. I have a wallet. I've had a wallet my entire life. I think I was born with a wallet, just saying. Didn't have any money in it when I was born. Okay, those are the questions from Instagram. I'm doing my best not to ignore Instagram, even though, it's on a separate screen. By the way, coolest feature ever. I don't know if you know this, but if you have an Apple PowerBook or MacBook that is of current generation and an iPad of current generation, you can make the iPad an extra screen. So I'm using this as an extra screen. I think it's cool. Had to share. All right. Back to questions and stuff and things. What do we got here? Boom, boom, boom. Timber. Can you pass? Here we go. Can you pass on a solid yellow in Ontario? What about a double solid yellow? So I've talked about this a lot. It's one of those questions that seems to get people really, really confused, because everywhere except Ontario, it's illegal. But here in Ontario, a solid single or double line is not unlawful to pass. In fact, there's no ticket to be issued. However, you're responsible for everything that happens as a result of your actions. If you were to drive across the yellow line into a vehicle or cause a collision, you caused a collision and you're going to wear that, and the evidence of you going across the line is going to weigh against you. But there's no charge for going against the line. If there was a sign that said don't cross the line, that would be a situation where you'd be violating the sign, not the line. Because the sign said not to do it, you did it anyway. So, yeah, you can, but it's not necessarily a good idea. Let's see here. Watchdog 5705 says, hey, Sean, what are your thoughts on MAS? RCMP in Saskatchewan will be testing every driver that they stop. I have had success with it on drivers showing zero signs. What are your thoughts? For those who don't know what MAS is, it's called mandatory alcohol screening. And it is something that's come into place since 2018 in Canada, where officers, even without any suspicion of alcohol consumption, they pull you over, they can test you. In fact, pulling you over to test you is a lawful reason to pull you over, because we can stop and either test anyone. Let's say we start the shift and say, every red car I'm going to test. Bad example. Every other car I stop, I'm going to test. Now, that doesn't stop us from saying, if we come across a vehicle and there are signs that the driver is clearly under the influence, that we don't, at that point, we're not employing MAS. MAS is in the absence of suspicion. So I think it's great. I think testing everybody is fantastic. It's a small price to pay, and you are absolutely right. You catch people that don't show signs. There are people who are effectively professional drunks. They drink all the time, and they can appear stone sober, but they're not. They may appear to not show, or they may not show obvious signs of impairment, but they're still impaired. So I think it's great. Good work to the RCMP. We're going to stop and use that for everybody. I really think it's a good idea. Let's see here. Jerry Joe says, good morning, Sean. What is one example you can share from your experience which might stop drivers from speeding? Rather than recounting stories of tragedy, there's too many of those. The fact is that speeding causes collisions. People say, no, they don't. I say speeding kills. Speeding, increases injuries on collision. They go, come on, it's the stopping, it's the collision. It's when you are going faster, you have less time to respond to changes up ahead. And everyone thinks they're an awesome driver. Just ask them. They will happily tell you that they're awesome. Sadly, they're very biased and usually very wrong. I know some professional drivers, and one of the coolest things about professional drivers is that they understand the science behind driving. You know, one of my buddies, Brian, who's been on the show a number of times, and we were just texting before the show started, he talks about a race car driver's skills, aside from, pointing the vehicle in the right direction, is managing tires. I mean, who'd have thunk? Did you think that? I didn't think that. He put it into a whole new perspective for me. I got to get Brian to come back on the show. Hey, Brian, you want to come back on the show? Brian might be watching. At the end of the day, speeding does not get you there that much faster. I know the statement messes with people. Well, I'm going faster. I must be getting there faster. A sustained increase in speed will get you there marginally faster. But doing 20 over, then being 10 under, then doing... people are all over the place when they're speeding, up and down, and they're weaving through traffic. All they're doing is risking a higher chance of collision, increasing the odds of serious injury, and of course, getting tickets. And upsetting me. Speeding upsets me. Not to the point where I lose sleep, but it's one of those things that I really enjoy, giving tickets to people who choose to break the law that way. Sadly, I'm not on the road anymore. Okay. We talked about that. Jerry Joe repeated it. Ryan Dow, who is repeating themselves, because I think Ryan Dow is alleging that Toronto police lied in court. And he's alleging, and he's very anti-police bias. So everything he posts, and I'm just letting people know, because everything you've really posted on the show has been very negatively and painting pictures of the police in a bad light. What you may not know, and I don't know specifically what you're referring to. Maybe you have a situation where this is actually true. But when people testify, they testify to the best of their recollection. Manufacturing facts and information, I don't think happens. Maybe there's dirty cops, and maybe I don't have experience with them, but we don't like dirty cops. Someone who tells in a high-stress situation their version of events, what they remember, is telling you their version of events. That's why there's his story, her story, and what actually happened. I use his and her. It could be his and his, hers and hers, whatever, them and them. But people actually remember what they remember, and it's not always accurate. So to suggest that they're lying versus having gaps in their memory, or it could be many, many different things. Vaughn says, good morning to you. Matt John says, what is this? I want to know if we're allowed in the third lane driving coach where it says no trucks. So if you're talking about buses, if you're a bus and there's a bus lane, then you're allowed to be in the bus lane. If you're driving a private bus and you want to go in the diamond lane on the which says TTC only, well, you're not a TTC bus if you're a coach or private bus. So then you wouldn't be allowed. So it depends on the lane, depends on the rules. There's tons of information. I believe I have links at TrafficCop.ca. If you were to go to TrafficCop.ca, you would be able to link to the HOV rules and stuff. Let's see here. I do have a thingamabobber here. I can put the TrafficCop.ca. Oh, that reminds me. I want to just open something up. Do I have this up? TPS.ca. We're going to talk about careers soon. See if there's any updates on the website. I'm just opening up the page. All right. Just checking to see if we have anything else on Instagram that's come through. I don't see any new messages. By the way, if you want the best interface, YouTube might be it. Now, TikTok's great, and we have the integration working right now, so that's good. But if you have any problems, you're not being seen, jump over to YouTube. And by the way, while you're there, follow us. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us everywhere. We don't mind if you follow us. It's not wrong to follow the police, unless it's creepy. That's different. This is not creepy. All right. What did Neha say? Oh. So this is going back to the ambulance situation, asking if they'd get a ticket. So they activated their lights and sirens after the light turned red. Yeah. The only way you'd be able to, this is going back to, can you go through a red light to get out of the way of an ambulance? The answer is no. You can, however, make a legal right turn after coming to a complete stop, ensuring it's safe to proceed, then make the right turn to get out of their way. That would be a good way to deal with it. Unfortunately, they put you in that situation. What is this? Ghost Nation wants to know, why are parking lots 50-50 if the other person ran into me? 50-50, it's private property. So insurance companies usually deal with it in a 50-50 situation, but there's usually no evidence to suggest otherwise. So my suggestion is have a dash camera, have a multi-camera dash camera system to provide you a third-party account of what actually happened. If you are at a mall, ask for security footage. Ask them to mark it so it can be saved so police can acquire it. That might really help you when it comes to proving that it was less, that it shouldn't be 50-50. But that's generally how it works. Vaughn says it's really good. Audio is good. Okay, great. Glad to hear that the audio is going well. Thank you for the feedback. Does bad credit disqualify you from becoming a police officer? Credit is important. Credit, not because you got to take up until or last year, you had to pay, $15,000 to go to police college. So I guess credit would be important for that purpose as well. But the deal is that good credit, paying people when you owe them money, being responsible, these are all characteristics of someone that we'd want to hire. Someone who can't manage their finances, is running into problems, maybe signs of other issues like a gambling problem. Maybe that person would be, a good person to try and manipulate to get information and have them break their oaths because they need money, right? There's a lot of reasons why people who have bad credit might not be good candidates. So certainly bad credit, if it's really bad and there's an underlying issue, it could hurt your chances. But check it out. Go to www.tps.ca/careers, and you can get more information. And the best people to really ask, although I talk about employment and recruiting all the time, the pros are the folks that are in the recruiting office, the talent acquisition unit. I really think that the sergeant forgot. I'm going to text him because he really wanted to be here. Hello, your fans are waiting. Okay, I've texted him. Sometimes we just get so busy in the work we're doing, we just lose track of time. That's what happens. Days go by. Let's see here. We got Brandon who says, good morning from Florida. Let's have an awesome, safe day. Florida, I'm jealous. It's almost like, when is summer officially starting? I feel like we should have really had summer feeling. Mind you, it started off cold yesterday and got warmer as the day went on. Was not terrible. Smoke Token 420 on Instagram says, where can I ask a question? Smoke Token, you just asked a question. Just saying. But this is where you ask. And, oh, I thought I heard a door. It didn't happen. Like somebody was going to open it, but then they ran away. Okay. Hey, it's Officer Pappy. It says, drive safe. That's awesome. We still got to get you sitting here, Pappy. Let me know when you're available. We'll get you into the studio now that we have a nice, inviting space. So if you don't follow Officer Papadopoulos, check him out. He's on Twitter. He's actually on TikTok too. I don't know. I couldn't tell you his account right off the bat, but find him and follow him. Okay. What is this? More allegations of people not telling the truth. Are tractor trailers allowed to drive in the fast lane? So this is a question from Thomas on TikTok. So the leftmost lane, and in fact the left two lanes, according to what I've read in the HTA, suggests that commercial vehicles shouldn't be there. But there are times when they have to be there, when they're actively passing, if there was an issue, if traffic were diverting in that direction and they were closing other lanes, obviously in that situation, there are times when they would have to. To get under the tallest part of a bridge, may have to go in that lane. But to cruise the entire time in there, no, they shouldn't be there. And they could be ticketed, although I've never laid a charge in that section or area of the code. Just hasn't been an issue for me. Vaughn says, I sound better with this mic? Really? No, I don't buy that. Now, right now I have two mics active because I turned them both on because I can't hit the sliders from over here. But so you're getting sort of two mics. But I think this is a tinnier sound. But I appreciate your feedback. Now I will have to listen back to see which one I actually like more. Rose says, hello, sir. Hello back. What do we have here? Josh Barella. Are you currently on duty right now, and are you allowed to talk politics on duty? So, Josh, I choose not to talk politics because this is a traffic safety channel, not a political channel. I am not a politico, insider that can talk about things other than my opinion, nor is my opinion really relevant when it comes to politics. This is about traffic safety, answering your questions about traffic and police. I don't get into those things. And it's not a matter of whether I am allowed to or not. I'm probably not, but I don't care. The fact is, if it was relevant, I'd probably get into it, but it's not relevant, thus we move on. Is lane hogging illegal? Lane hogging is a pretty open-ended thing. What do you mean? Do you mean like being in the fast lane, doing the speed limit? Fast lane's not really a thing either because the speed limit is the same on all lanes. Now, there is something that says slower moving traffic should stay right. The sad part is that really only applies up until the speed limit. So if you were doing 90 and a 100, you should stay to the right, and the leftmost lane should be left for the people doing 100 because no one's allowed to speed. It's against the law. Now, it's been adapted and understood that if you are speeding, we should let you go. Not we, the police, but other drivers on the road. We should stay to the right to avoid having a dinglebat carry over and try and pass on the right. I was driving out to Hamilton yesterday, and I was passed on the right. I was in the third lane over. On the fourth lane, somebody came up, I guess, either the on-ramp, whatever it was. They were in the leftmost or rightmost lane, and they dropped the gear and just disappeared. And, that person was an idiot. But at the same time, I was already well over to the right in a reasonable place. Had I been doing the speed limit, which is what I was doing, in the leftmost lane, I'd be creating a scenario where people who want to speed are doing unsafe things. Now, want to speed. They're breaking the law. They're wrong and should lose their licenses, but they're doing what they're doing. And I shouldn't create a situation that makes it even more dangerous than they're already making it. At no point is that an excuse to allow speeding. I don't endorse it. I don't endorse it. The Bird says, happy Passover. Thank you. If you celebrate, Hag Sameach. Last night was the first Seder. Tonight's the second Seder. Nice time to spend with family, and I appreciate the message. So again, to anyone who's celebrating Hag Sameach, hope you have a nice time with family. Okay. Neha says, I gauge that he's a Big Apple fan. When you say Big Apple, like he likes apples, like these apples, I used to work for Apple. I was a hardware technician way back. Let's see here. We got Basharat Ali, my friend from Punjab, Pakistan. He's a police officer there in a traffic unit, as a matter of fact. He says, morning, Sir Sean. Love safety, hate rash driving, divorce speed, take care of yourself and others. It is a community thing. You know, I was on Moore in the morning, and I meant to load the clip so I could share it with you. But we were talking about pedestrians and crossing the road because Joe, the producer on John Moore's show, was hit by a car yesterday while he was crossing at a crosswalk. And after he was hit by the car, the driver, a woman who fled the scene, basically said, get out of his way, get out of her way, and she kept going after she made contact with him. So it's one thing if you make contact, whether injury occurs or not. The duty of the driver is to make sure that that person is okay and exchange information if that is what they want to do. Because if I hit you, I'm responsible to ensure you're okay and exchange information. Now, let's say that person says, I'm cool, don't worry about it. You barely touched me. And you're obligated to exchange information. But if the person doesn't want to exchange information, says, get out of here, don't worry about it. Then don't worry about it because that's it. You've offered, you've checked to make sure they're okay. And at a later date, if they change their mind and decide they're injured, they can certainly pursue it that way. But there is no, that you've met the requirement at that point. You've checked on them. If you run away, though, that's not okay. All right, moving on. What is this? Vaughn says, no, he's retired. What is this? Yeah, I am not retired. This is active. I love some of the dialogue. But we got that. We've already covered it. If you don't have insurance for a car, what happens, sir? If you're driving a motor vehicle without insurance, you're violating the law. Obviously, there's a requirement. It's called the mandatory mandatory. I got mixing up mandatory alcohol screening for the what is it called? I've just lost it. Actually, I can't even think of it now. It's the is it the Mandatory Automobile Insurance Act? How do I forget this? You know, some days, let me pull it up. Is it not mandatory? Come on, what is it? Compulsory. I remembered it. All right. Oh, no. Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act. So, see, you say mandatory in a conversation, it just messes you up for the rest of the day. So it's the Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act. And guess what? Compulsory means you have to have it. If you don't have it on a first conviction, you're looking at $5,000 to $25,000. You're looking at up to 6 months in jail. And we have up to 3 years to lay that charge. So if you are pulled over by police, you don't provide proof of insurance, you provide false proof suggesting that false certificate or anything that suggests you have insurance when you don't. If we find out you're lying, we have up to 3 years to lay those charges. And oddly enough, people aren't very happy to see us when we knock on their door to serve them the paper. Just saying. Okay, we talked about that. Emma says, I'm not retired. Very true. Okay, what is this? Oh, can a cop turn on his lights to make a left on a no left turn for no reason? I followed him for 2 kilometers. So you don't know why the officer did what they did, but we are allowed to do certain things. Now, that's a bylaw. That whole left turn business, no, it's not a bylaw. It's a qualified sign. But police, when responding to things, when on calls and the performance of their duties, they're obviously not going to pull themselves over and give them a ticket for things. If they've done something for a lawful purpose, then they will be supported. If they've done it for getting coffee, then they might find themselves in trouble. So it all depends. I was going to say originally when I started talking about bylaws that we're allowed to do certain things to like bylaws. Like what would be a good bylaw? Parking. We can park wherever we need to. We can violate some. And am I speaking out of turn? Would a left turn be a prohibit turn? Maybe it is a bylaw. Now I got to do some reading. I got to figure out the basics because it's in the HTA. But where does it start? Who decides where the turn is going to be? We're getting down to the finite baloney where I get into the rabbit hole of and I like to know the answer in the most accurate way. And I'm certainly not performing on this one. But yeah, can they do it? It is done. It is acceptable. And if it leads to bad things, they're absolutely responsible for their choices. They have to articulate why they did what they did. Okay. Neha says, depends on the signage. Yeah. Dre Studios back again. How's it going, my friend? Oh, and Paul says sound quality is very good. Thanks for the feedback. What is this? Oh. What's the fine for removing that silly little light over my rear license plate? You mean the one that's required by law? It's $110 every time you're pulled over. If you've totally removed it, you could possibly be charged for something carrying, well, the same charge, but we could escalate it, put it to summons, take you to court. Summons you to court, so you'd have to attend. And then what would happen? Well, the potential would be that you could see higher fines. Like if you're getting lots of tickets for it, you have to have a minimum of 3 candela light on the back. It's a special light, and we need to be able to see your license plate. That's the whole reason it exists. Would a cop be able to pull over another cop? Sure. How do we know they're another cop? What if a cop car was stolen? What if it's somebody who is off duty? We'd have no idea. We'd pull them over, and if they're breaking the law and can't articulate why they're doing it for a lawful purpose as an on-duty officer, they're going to get charged. Yeah. Now, the officer, I will say this, the officer can give courtesy. They can also give courtesy to anybody. The discretion is the word I'm looking for. So if you are getting pulled over for a turn, we could pull you over and say, hey, you made a mistake. Does it have to be a ticket? No. It might be a ticket, but it doesn't have to be a ticket. It's the same thing for everyone, whether they're police officers or civilians. Okay. Talked about that. Thomas keeps repeating the question. Mind you, that was from 18 minutes past, so maybe it was before I answered the first time. X-Rocket, is that X-Rock7? X-Rock, I don't know how to use this username. XR, okay. I'm entertaining myself now. Okay, this is in regards to mandatory alcohol screening. So can I use that excuse? I don't need an excuse. I'm legally permitted to pull anyone over who's driving a motor vehicle to ensure that they're licensed, to ensure that they're insured, to ensure that they're sober, and to make sure that their vehicle is safe. Aside from any driving behavior at all, those are lawful reasons to pull someone over in the province of Ontario. See, and Emma, on the money as per usual, says exactly that. If you don't pay tickets, what happens? You're found or you're deemed to be guilty, and then you owe the money to the government without disputing it. You'd have to pay, or you won't be able to renew your license or your license plate, depending on the kind of ticket. And what else? Yeah. If you wanted to then, if you didn't pay it, but then you chose to say, well, I don't know, I forgot, or there was an oopsie-doo, you could always apply to have it reopened, but I believe you have to pay for it in advance and try and challenge it afterwards. The Bird says, had an idiot 401 East 401 East thought he was erasing, I can't read this. Had an idiot 401 East thought he was in a racing video game last week. It was insane. The amount of insanity I see on the road every single day is I mean, I've lost count. Yesterday, as I was heading north from the Frey Gardner Expressway on the DVP, I heard a motorcycle before I saw it. When I finally saw the bullet bike, it had no license plate. No license plate at all. It wasn't tucked. There was no plate. Now, what was that bike? What can I assume about that motorist? Well, they probably have no insurance, no license, and it could even be a stolen vehicle. These people who choose to run with no license plates are absolutely looking to do something and not get caught for it. So they become the priority when we see it. What a waste of time. People should just follow the law. It's so much easier. What version of the Batmobile would suit the TPS best? That's a really tough question. As much as I like the one I grew up with, which was the old Corvette, it was a Corvette base. I think the what was it called? The Rambler, the Scrambler, whatever the big one from the more recent movies. I'm not a big fan of the latest reboot, the really dark Knight. Not cool, but Vodheens on Kick says hi and says, greetings from Turkey. How are you? I'm doing well. Hope all is well in Turkey. I was supposed to go to Turkey, but you had the unfortunate earthquake, which diverted my plans. But hope everyone's safe and doing well. Do you agree with photo radar in high school zones? I personally believe in photo radar everywhere, on every street. Automated enforcement should be absolutely everywhere. If you break the law, you should be held accountable, and then people might actually slow down. So I say this every day, all the time. Everywhere should have photo radar. Every red light should have a red light camera. Every stop sign should have a stop sign camera. There should be no way to break the law and get away with it. And then we could focus on other stuff. Like, people constantly complain, why are you guys giving tickets for speeding? when you could be out fighting real criminals. Well, if we could slow people down so they wouldn't cause collisions and cause injury and death on our roads, well, we could focus on other things. So put us out of business. Put cameras in every street, and then we'll just focus on the other stuff. Just saying. We've got here. Jonathan Ettery says, happy Passover. Thank you very much. And if you celebrate, Chag Sameach. We got Jesse Laramie says, I'm in the middle of applying for my town police. Awesome. Good luck to you in the process. It is possibly the most rewarding thing you can do is becoming a police officer, working for an amazing organization, supporting your community, helping people. It's great. Let's see here. Zamboni says, I have interlock. Can I drive someone else's vehicle? You can drive someone else's vehicle if they have an interlock. But if you were to drive a vehicle, and I'll give you a perfect example. I pulled over a driver who had an interlock requirement. They were driving a rental car, a loaner from their garage. Well, they had taken their Mercedes in, and they were driving a loaner Mercedes. Well, the loaner Mercedes had no interlock, and when they got pulled over, it was then impounded. Don't drive without an interlock. Really bad idea. What is this? What would you do if you saw Squeeze Benz speeding through traffic? I don't know who Squeeze Benz is, but if I saw someone speeding through traffic, I would stop them. I would charge them. I would probably take their vehicle away because it would be stunt driving, most likely. Okay. Can I check my message on red light stopping on a mounted phone? No texting, just reading. You cannot have a screen visible to driver. You cannot use your phone, and that is use. The only thing you can have visible on your phone is the lock screen, the phone screen, and which is when a call comes in. If you were to swipe and answer, you're allowed that one action of swiping or pressing to answer. Aside from that, you can't interact with your phone. You can have the GPS on, but you can't enter destinations or mess around. Does Toronto Police have an airborne division like parachute, folks? Sorry. First thing I thought of when you said airborne. Do we have choppers? We do not. We do not have helicopters. We did test helicopters way back when I first started as an auxiliary. I remember we had helicopters in test, but we didn't keep them. And I think one of the biggest reasons was community thought it was too loud. They didn't like the noise. I would love to have helicopters. That's so cool. I've been in a helicopter. Who's ridden in a helicopter? That was one of the coolest things. I went up for a very quick, it was a birthday present. A buddy of mine bought me a helicopter ride, grabbed my camera and a 200mm lens, and what a cool experience. Not at all what I expected, but yeah, sadly we don't have one. What do we got here? I don't know what happened to Sergeant Campbell, because Boy Mom reminds that fans are waiting. Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. How bad is it to drive without a license? Well, you're not covered by insurance. You're obviously eligible for tickets. You probably don't have the qualifications to be behind the wheel in the first place, so you're going to be less safe than everybody else. If you're suspended, you're looking at some serious consequences, but it's just not okay. So how bad is it? It's bad. Breaking the law. Do they sit in buses and watch from above? I'm not sure what we're talking about. Mark Hillman and his sense of humor. That's great. What speed can you not chase someone at? Here's the deal. We try and stop people. If it becomes too much of a risk to public safety, we may choose to end it, or anybody on the channel, whether it be a supervisor, a call taker, another police officer. If we are aware of something, or if there is high risk to the public, we're going to disengage. We'll meet you at your house later to arrest you there, but we're not going to put others at risk, even if that other person is you. Because most of the time, especially with motorcyclists, they don't know how to ride to save their lives, and they end up hurting themselves, and then we're responsible because they got all broken up, and then they're upset because the police made me do it because I ran away. The logic there is flawed, but the result is the same. Joel says, if the speed limit is 60 and you're in the left lane, which is the fast lane, is it still 60? All lanes are 60 in a 60 zone. That's the speed limit. 61 is illegal, just in case anyone was wondering. Happy Passover to you, too. If a ticket is withdrawn, can police still see the initial infraction? Yes, we have files of the initial charge. We have the document in our system. We can always see that you were charged. And I got to tell you, withdrawn or not guilty does not mean that you didn't do it. We charged you because you did it. The fact that the courts did not convict really doesn't change very much. I mean, you obviously, your insurance doesn't go up, your driver's license isn't affected, but we know you did it. So next time you do it, it's now the second time we're seeing you do it, right? We're keeping score. What should I do if someone hit and run my parked car? Put a report in. You can go to the Collision Reporting Center. You should try and get video if any video exists that security might be able to assist you with. Sometimes they don't give it to you, but you still want to go and let them know that you're contacting police because police may want to get that video. Do speed cameras capture both directions? Generally speaking, I think it's only from the rear plate, only going away. Can I play video on phone while driving time? No. That's a screen visible to driver, entertainment device visible to driver. Even if you had wired up your CarPlay, there's some kits that you can play video on your dashboard. That would be illegal. Cannot play entertainment stuff. Is drinking and driving legal? If it's water in Ontario, it's legal. If it's water outside of Ontario, it may not be. In British Columbia, I think it's against the law. I think it's distracted driving to drink anything. So Timmy's, I guess, sells fewer coffees outside of Ontario because other places it may actually be illegal. Now, I'm assuming you were trying to be funny and talking about impaired driving, which is obviously illegal. What's the charge for one person on the carpool section? I believe it's 150. I believe it's 150. Not something I've ever laid. What do we got here? Oh, interesting question. Does TPS have any plans to bring in Tahoes to replace the Explorers? I think we're going to more Explorers. I think we're going into a hybrid Explorer. I don't think we've never really had Tahoes. That's an OPP thing. And I think the OPP ones are actually two-wheel drive, which is different. Ours are all-wheel drive. But yeah, we've been very Ford-centric lately. What do we got here? What is this? Oh, interesting. Ryan Dow says, when someone is tailgating, I will excessively use washer fluid and it goes all over their car. They get the idea. Is that legal? Well, when you're doing something that could potentially be, creating a hazard or a visibility issue, if you're doing it intentionally, like if you redirect the sprayers to create like an oil slick, it depends. Is it specifically legal or illegal? You're using your windshield wiper. You want a really clean window? There's no excessive windshield washer fluid charge. But if you're doing it and you cause a collision because you are spraying something on their car, it's unlikely to be that to go there. But I could see where someone could make allegations that you're trying to cause problems. I'm working this through live here. I don't know. You take your chances when you do things for the intention of escalating matters. You don't want someone to tailgate? I just let off the gas. I slow down. They back up. They slow down too. Otherwise, they, get even closer. Let's see here. Boy Mom says, have you ever seen the clip about ticket money? You need to find it hilarious. I will have to check it out. I've not seen it. Not that I'm aware of. Not that I recall. Oh, Nihad meant the Big Apple on the way to Ottawa. But you said if I was in the left, what is this? If I was in the left lane doing the speed limit, seeing he passed you on the right. I'm not sure what I said now. What is this? Oh, he's alleging that I was doing the speed limit and I was passed in the right lane. I was in the third lane. He was in the fourth lane. If you were going back to the story I was talking about. What are the steps to buying a used vehicle from someone, not a dealership? You make your deal. They have to have a used vehicle package, and then you take it to the vehicle. We have to take the vehicle. You have to take the ownership document and the used vehicle package to the ministry to transfer ownership. That's really it. Now, can you drive that car? It has to have insurance. You have to have a safety on it. It has to be in fit status even to get a temporary plate, and then you get plates, and then Bob's your uncle. What is this? Is it necessary to move over one lane if there's an active pullover? What if there's a lot of traffic? So this is the slow down, move over law. You have to slow down and move over. If a lane is available, you need to change into that lane. If no lane is available, you need to slow down significantly and move giving as much space as you can within the lane that you're in. And it's not like go from 30 over to 100. You slow down. You're talking about someone whose life is at risk, who's working on the road, which is our office, essentially. Let's see here. What we got. There we are. Let's see here. If a motor vehicle goes through a red light and that intersection has a red light camera, would you still stop? I will stop based on what I saw. The camera does its thing. I have no idea if the camera worked, didn't work. I will stop and charge someone based on my observations. And my ticket has more weight. It comes with demerit points. The ticket through the camera does not. Neha says, I hope the beautiful people of TikTok have an amazing day. And gives heart hands emoji. All right. What do we got here? Yeah, also with that red light camera question, where you actually follow it up to say, would you confirm the driver is the registered owner? So the deal is that the registered owner is responsible for what the car does. It doesn't affect the driver's license. We issue a ticket. It's the driver's license. The driver gets charged. I like that a lot more. And you could possibly take the ticket that I gave, and whether you paid it or not, and use that to say I was also charged by police, and they might, not deal with you both, like make you deal with both if you dealt with one. What is this? Spanky wants to know, what about bicycles riding in the middle lane or side by side? I was under the impression single till. I don't see the rest of the question, but if a cyclist is maintaining the flow of traffic, they can have the whole lane. They're entitled to it. If they can't maintain the flow of traffic, they need to stay to the right of the lane. Now, there's other conditions. If the road was unsafe, if there was gravel, they were avoiding it, they could take the whole lane for that purpose. But they can't just hang out and slow traffic down. They need to stay to the right. And then vehicles passing must give them 1 meter of space. Let's see here. Who goes first when you're turning left at a stop sign, but you arrive first and the car arrives up? First to arrive, first to drive is the general rule. I don't know what op means, so maybe you could rephrase or give me the second half of your question. Sir, I was fined because my plates were expired. I had no clue we still had to renew. I don't know when this happened, when you got the ticket, but yeah, if you have expired plates, if you have tickets that you haven't paid, your plates don't renew automatically under the new system, which I don't even know if it's in place yet. My suggestion is go to TrafficCop.ca, sign up for reminders from all of the for the license, your health card, your license, health card, and license plates. License, health card, and license. Yeah, that's it. Looking over here at the Instagram. Just to see if I missed anybody. And no new question. Oh, no, there's one. What is the legal tint allowed? That's Sushant Moore. So if we can't see in, it's illegal. That's a simple rule. But it goes down more. If it's less than 30% light blockage, 70% of lights getting through, then it's certifiable. You can get it on the road. But at nighttime, we may not be able to see in, and you can still be charged. So no tint can be on the windshield, that regardless of the amount of light getting through. But if we can't see and if we can't describe who's in the car, it's against the law. And if it's more than the 30%, you're looking at losing your license plates for an unsafe vehicle. Okay. Not realizing your license expired with collision, would you penalize? If you're driving without a license, you're unlicensed, I would charge you, yes. Why are there electric bikes in the Gardner? Because they're breaking the law. They're modifying them and making them go faster than what's legally permitted. I'm seeing it all the time. Now, if it's an electric motorcycle like a Harley Davidson or a couple of other brands that make actual motorcycles that are electric, they're legal as long as they're plated and insured and so on. But the e-bikes that are souped up to go faster, absolutely illegal motorcycles. and they are eligible for the charges for not having an insured motor vehicle. What if I drive a rental and it downs, what is it? And it downs or have insurance, what happens? What if I drive a rental and it downs or have insurance, what could happen? Oh, if I'm driving a rental not in my name, what will happen to me if anything happens? So somebody else has the rental contract, you're borrowing a car that you're not authorized to drive. Well, the renter is in violation of their contract, and that becomes a private matter. Are you a licensed driver legally driving a registered and insured vehicle? We wouldn't charge you for driving it, but the insurance company could deny the insurance to the person that was driving it. There's a ton of different things that could happen, but that's a problem with the person who had control of the car and gave it to you. Okay. What time is it? Ooh, 10:56 already. What do you think of this new setup? I kind of miss being in my routine where everything's right in front of me, and my neck kind of hurts from staring down at my computer. Yeah, I don't know. This is different. It's different. Learning moves. Ideally, I'd have a producer to do all this, and I would just look up at the big screen over there and read the question. But anyway, I digress. My favorite question of all time. It really is. What happens if you drive with a G1 without someone with a G sitting beside you? The charge is called G1 drive unaccompanied. $110. That's where it starts. So you get that. And obviously, you're not driving home, so you're going to be paying for a tow. What else? No insurance. You're not covered with insurance. We're not charging you for no insurance on the car, assuming the car is properly insured. But you're not covered. If you smash the car up, you would not be covered. They could deny your claim. The person who let you drive the car, they'd be charged under the Highway Traffic Act for allowing someone to drive in contravention of a condition. And if you didn't have permission, we charge you for criminal take vehicle without consent. Yeah. What's the official law for making a left turn? Am I allowed to move into the intersection? Yeah, you can. I was taught at 16 that whole S-turn business, get into that intersection and prepare, give yourself better visibility and prepare to make the turn. You can't have more vehicles, 3-4 vehicles. Very unlikely you could put more vehicles safely into an intersection, charging it and being ready. But it's not unlawful to enter the intersection for a left or right turn. It is unlawful to enter an intersection if there's no reasonable belief that you can get to the other side. Excuse me. So what I mean by that is if I am in stop and go traffic and I enter the intersection, but I can't get to the other side, when I enter it, that's against the law. You can be charged for, now usually you won't be charged unless you don't, if you're caught blocking the box, but it is a charge there. Is it illegal to go less than the speed limit? No. It's lawful to go under the speed limit. We don't actually need you to go to the speed limit all the time. There's lots of reasons, in fact, like inclement weather, traffic. There's lots of reasons to go under the speed limit. But people really push their limit with, there are so many speeders, and then they think that that's okay, and that people who do the limit are going too slow, and then people who go below the limit are dangerous. There are situations where you could be unnecessarily slow driving. 60 in a 100 zone, I would, in a highway situation, I'd pull you over. I'd want to have a conversation. For sure. Are 6,000 HID headlight bulbs legal in Ontario? I think 6,000 is too bright. That's a Kelvin scale. But I think that those are, I don't know. I don't remember. I'd have to look it up. But there is a maximum brightness permitted. Okay. Carl Freeman says, good morning, Sean. Good morning to you. What happens if I drive a bit buzzed on house arrest? Well, as your username says, and accurately so, you're going to get charged. You're on house arrest, so you're going to get charged for that. You're impaired driving, bit buzzed. Yeah, throw the book at you. Why are license plates sold in Ontario when it's illegal? Because plastic isn't regulated. It's a piece of plastic. You choose to drive with it. That's when you're breaking the law. You want to put it on a show car, put it in your parking lot, have it on when you're not driving on the road. It's not illegal to have. It's illegal to drive on the road with it. It's not a prohibited device. It just isn't. What is this? Oh. The Care Police says, I've seen a thing that said police undercover just take a ticket to not raise awareness. Yeah, if we pull over an undercover officer, we don't know that they're undercover officers. They don't say, hey, I'm an undercover officer, because that's called blowing their cover. So, yeah, they would take the ticket. As they should. Are cops allowed to give a lesser fine for speeding if it's the first offense? We can charge for a lesser amount. We have discretion. We don't have to charge anybody for anything within reason. There's things we have to. A murder, we don't usually give discretion on murder. I say usually. I'm joking. But no, speeding. If we pull you over, we could let you go. We can give you a warning if we believe that you. And it's an individual thing. If I believe that you really learned your lesson, it was 5 kilometers over, 10 kilometers over, reasonable. It might be an educational stop as opposed to a stop resulting in tickets. But that doesn't happen very often. I more than often just write the ticket because you probably speed all the time. Just saying. All right. Can they run your plates randomly? I got fines for not having my plates renewed. Yeah, we can run everybody's plates. That's what we do. We search people's plates to make sure that their plates are valid. In fact, we have automatic license plate readers that are coming into effect everywhere, and those can run your plates all the time. So renew your plates, keep your license valid, do all the things you're supposed to do, and then you won't worry about getting tickets. Sushant Moore back on Instagram says, if the car is going downhill and crosses speed limit, let's say 60 in a 50 zone, it's called speeding. If you're doing 60 in a 50 zone, you are speeding. Downhill, uphill, side hill, whatever hill. If you're going above the speed limit, you're responsible for it. There's no downhill exemption. Okay. Oh, excellent. Are officers allowed to drive 140 kilometers an hour on the highway with their lights off, passing other vehicles? Yes, they are. Police are legally permitted to exceed the posted speed limit. They're allowed to do that and don't require their lights or sirens to be on. They don't have to be on a call. It's for any lawful purpose in the lawful execution of their duties. So I'm doing speed enforcement. I'm not going to say the word, but people who are speeding, they're all speeding. If I wasn't allowed to speed, I couldn't catch up to the people who are speeding. I couldn't go and look inside to see who they are before I decide to pull them over. I couldn't see if they're using their cell phones because I'd be stuck at 100, right? I'd be doing the lawful thing that everyone's supposed to be doing. Anyway, moving on. Boom, boom, boom. Can I turn left from a one-way street onto another one-way street on a red light? Brandon, that's the one time in Ontario you can turn left on a red, is from a one-way to a one-way, when it's safe to do so, presuming there is no sign that prohibits it. What do we got here? Why do cops not need a firearms license? Because they're police officers. I mean, for personally owned firearms, you need a firearms license. But for the issued weapon, as a police officer, it's not required. It's issued. Yeah. I should actually say why, because I don't know the ins and outs as to why they've done that, because the Border Services requires a PAL. Police just don't. I don't know how it changes, but it's my understanding that's because police officers have different authorities. Can I drive a classic car with classic car insurance on the weekends? That's usually when the classic car insurance is intended for. Like, this is the stuff that, they ask you in the survey, are you just driving to the local store for ice cream? Are you taking place in parades? If you have that kind of classic car stuff and you're driving to those type of events, then you're covered. If you start driving it as a daily commuter and your mileage goes up, then you're not covered. Or at least they may choose to no longer insure you. How long have I been doing this, and what are some of the changes in behavior that you've seen? I've sort of rephrased that, but doing what? Like specifically being on social media or being a police officer or being a traffic officer? I've been at traffic since 2014. I've been a police officer, since 2013. I was with the service since 2020 in other capacities. I was an auxiliary at traffic. I've been a court officer. I've done a whole bunch of different things. In general, in the last 24 years, I've seen a general reduction in the amount of people and the number of people who follow the law. I see more speeding, more aggressive driving, more distracted driving, obviously. Just more of the lawlessness that I think is a problem on our roads. More distractions. What is this? Oh, somebody who thinks they're tough says, the point of running my leader bike with no plates is I can do what I want to, period. So they're lawless, lawbreakers. They're bragging about it. Is this the kind of person you want on the road? I don't think they should be on the road. I think they should lose their license, and it should be maybe forever. If they may not even have a license. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. People you see in hell is back, and they're now on a negative slant. Everything they say is negative. Last week they were okay. This week they're negative. All right. Let's see here. They say no charges, nothing nefarious, just me risking my own life after midnight when the roads are empty. Well, no, it's not that. You're when you risk your life and you do something that changes yours or ends yours, you make us get out and do all sorts of work. You make us exposed to all of the terrible things that come with dealing with people who get killed on the road. You make ambulance and fire departments get out and deal with your body. Your family is impacted. And the fact is, you're doing stupid stuff. Stop it. Grow up. I love it. Everyone says, it's like seatbelts. It's only my life. No, there's way more involved. Way more. And I lost track of where. What is this? Colson Bato says, if a taillight is out and you are unaware, would a cop ticket you? You're allowed to have, you only need to have one functioning taillight. If you had no taillights, this is Ontario, no taillights, you're getting a ticket. One taillight, you're probably getting pulled over to remind you that you have one taillight out. You should really get it fixed before the other one burns out, at which point you're getting a ticket. But there's no ticket for having one taillight out in Ontario. You have to have two headlights, one taillight. That's the way it works. Good job. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the thank you. Welcome says, because you're money hungry. Well, first of all, I think you mean apostrophe R-E. You are your different, you're not, you didn't use it right. And then they followed up with, let's be real. I think this was, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, in response to me saying I like holding people accountable for their actions and giving them tickets, no, it's not because I'm money hungry. I don't get a bonus for giving tickets. There's no commission. I wish there was. I would be set for life because of the number of tickets I've written. But no, it's entirely because I want to change driver behavior, because I want the roads to be safer, because my family and my friends work and use the roads. So when someone does dumb stuff on the road, they need to be adjusted so they don't do dumb stuff tomorrow. And maybe that saves a life. I like to believe it would. I would assume with a warning on record, you would receive a ticket. I think we're talking about this is the part 2 of the taillight. Warnings I've seen people with 3 warnings. I think it's silly. It means the person who pulled them over didn't do the homework to check the warning. But that, again, one taillight doesn't matter. There's no ticket for one taillight. Not here. Oh, interesting. Will Toronto adopt a program similar to NYPD for illegal parking? Do you mean that the barnacle on the windshield, or what do you mean? What do you mean? I'm curious now. Can you say something about canine? I like dogs. I don't know anything about canine. I've been to the canine unit. I've checked out the some of the amazing training they do, the amazing work they do. I know nothing about being a canine handler. And I've for 3 years doing this, and I've been talking about having them guest on the show, and we haven't had them in here yet. Do we still have to renew our stickers? Check with the ministry. I believe you still do. I don't think that the automatic thing has come into play yet, but check with them. Go to TrafficCop.ca. You can go to a link to their page. You can renew online there. It's free to renew unless you got a ticket. So the difference between free and automatic is you checking a website to make sure you don't get in trouble. Let's see here. Lazy Man 420, I'm assuming the 420 is drugs, says cops are allowed to hold and talk on their phones. Ontario police are a joke. Police, fire, and ambulance operators, those who operate those vehicles, are permitted to use their communication devices because that's part of their job. And their job, oddly enough, is emergency services. So, yeah, we're allowed to, and you're not. And it's dangerous for anyone, and we acknowledge that, so we try and reduce it. But whether we're on our two-way radio, our cell phone, which sometimes replaces our in-car computer, yeah, we're talking on phones sometimes. And it's for a lawful purpose, and we're allowed to. And you're not. Did I say that already? Anyway, moving on. Oh, being in a Black Hawk and a Chinook. Those are two amazing, amazing helicopters that I'm interested in flying in. Heavy D, does he have a Black Hawk? A Black Hawk helicopter. He has his own private, he has a couple helicopters. Anyway, have you ever seen Heavy D online? Very cool. What happens when you pay a ticket 4 days late? Well, you're already convicted. You may not see any negative impact, but yeah, they would have possibly started a collections process, I'm guessing. What happens if someone hits you but not insured? You're not insured or they're not insured? If they're not insured, your insurance covers you. If you're not insured, their insurance covers you and you get charged up the wazoo for not having insurance. If you're a pedestrian or a cyclist, obviously, their insurance covers you. What do we got here? We're in overtime, and I haven't talked about employment. I've been thinking of this since I was a kid. Is it possible to pull over a speeding police? You can't. We could. But the truth is, we'd radio them and say, what are you doing? We know what they're doing. They're GPS tracked. Our police vehicles are GPS tracked. Radio room knows how fast we're going. And we're lawfully permitted to exceed the posted speed limit. So no, we really wouldn't pull someone over in a police car for speeding because we already know what they're doing. If they were doing it unlawfully, putting lives at risk, and couldn't articulate it, they are looking at disciplinary action for doing it. So, yeah. Question from Dre Studios. Do you think they should change the speed limit on the 401 during certain times like they do in the U.S.? Some places where it's between 11 and 5 a.m., limit maybe 120 instead of 100. I've never really looked at it. Truth is, I don't think that we should go faster. People are already going faster, and it's not making the roads safer. It's making the roads less safe. If we didn't have, a year, no deaths for a year, maybe we could review it. But the truth is we lose just tons of people to vehicle collision death. And making it faster just means more bad will happen. We have people doing 140 when it's 100 kilometer an hour zones. We make it 120, they're going to go 160. Anyone who claims otherwise, I don't believe. I don't. Okay. Tons and tons and tons of messages here. Do we need to renew stickers? This is the question we've been talking about today. Thanks, Josh, for putting the reminders there. What is this? How many kids go missing every year? I don't know. I'm a traffic officer, not a missing kids officer. I don't have the stats. Do police chase someone if they're going over 200? We've stopped people. OPP got someone for doing 305 a couple of years ago. We regularly get people doing 250. So, yeah, I guess we chase people who do over 200. But you know what? People who do over 200 should be criminally charged. Criminally charged for dangerous driving. That kind of speed is so ludicrous. There's no excuse for it. The highest, take your car. I wish we could crush cars. Personally, I think that would be the right way to do it. Crush your car or take it and sell it to somebody or gift it to someone in need. Yeah, maybe that would be a good thing. But you deserve to never drive again. Lifetime ban, in my opinion. 200 kilometers an hour. Ridiculous. What is this? Hi, my friend got pulled over and was asked to an inspection of the car. Is this normal? Search or inspect. If we're inspecting mechanically to make sure that it is safe, if it's a modded car, we might be looking for modifications that are illegal. That's absolutely required. And if you say no to that search, there's a fine for it. Not search, inspection. Hi, Sean. Since I'm an auxiliary officer with Hamilton, does it make me a higher candidate to apply for cadet? Generally speaking, as an auxiliary officer, you've built a relationship, people who can make references for you, and it can very often increase your chances of being hired on. However, if your auxiliary service is wrought with poor behavior, maybe not saying you are lazy, but maybe somebody joins the auxiliary and then shows that they are in fact lazy, why would we want to have that come into the full-time service? So you could hurt yourself as much as you could win. Am I wearing a kippah? I am indeed. Let's see here. And then somebody says, stop the corruption. Okay. What's the law for tinted taillights? It's a really bad idea because your lights have to be discernible at a distance of 150 meters, clearly discernible. You tint them there, they are less discernible. Just sort of, that's what it is. Okay. Haley says, why are cops allowed to drive with one headlight out? They're not. But if it goes out while we're driving and we have priority things to do, we're not going to like stop responding to 911 calls to go change a headlight. But we have our own garages. We take it back to the station. We give it to the garage. They fix the headlight. But before it goes back on the road, it is corrected. If we caught it before we got on the road, it would be corrected before. If it's going to happen when it happened, like it just happened, listen, if I pull you over with one headlight out, could you get a ticket? You could. But if you say, I had no idea and it was good when I was driving earlier, it must have just gone out. If it's believable, if it looks reasonable, it's hard to say, right? That's an easy ticket to resolve. Either pay the ticket, repair the thing and show the courts that you repaired it. There's a ton of different ways that might get you a different response afterwards. But are you currently driving on a burnt out ticket or a burnt out light? Are you technically breaking the law? Sure. Is a police officer breaking the law in that regard? Yeah. There's no excuse. Okay. Here's the thing that I'm looking at. Is there any mentorship for university students trying to become cops? Talk to a recruiter. I mean, recruiters are the ultimate mentor. But it's a good idea to find a real mentor who will talk to you straight. So there's programs, there's all sorts of opportunities. If you're doing schooling, most of those are ex-police officers, so instructors. Yeah. Is OPP still doing seatbelt checks? Police do seatbelt checks because you need to wear a seatbelt while you're driving. Penalty of jaywalking. Jaywalking is not a charge in the province of Ontario. It's not against the law. You might get killed doing it, but it's not against the law. Doing it within a certain distance of a crosswalk is against the law. If there's a crosswalk, you're expected to use it. But the penalty, so there's no penalty for a charge that doesn't exist. Can I speed if I'm driving to the hospital in an emergency? No, call an ambulance. You're not allowed to legally speed. And if you're in an emergency situation, going to the hospital, the likelihood of you becoming involved in a collision and never getting there and causing trauma to other people who may never get, you have to think about it. You're not that important when compared to everybody else. 911, get help, get a professional driver, and get a paramedic who's giving you life-saving treatment right then and there. We're not just, an EMS bus is not just a taxi to the hospital. They're treating you. And in fact, that treatment may be what gets you to the hospital in one piece, alive, as opposed to driving there, potentially causing a collision, or just dying because you're not being treated. You're not stable for transport. Let's see here. What's the charge for self-changing license plate? It's not a license plate. Driving with no license plate, or you're trying to confuse the identity. Does the 911 operator job have to be shift work, days and nights, or are there exemptions sometimes made? Someone who's already in the job and has a reason to apply for some kind of accommodation is possible, but unlikely. Oh, no, we'll say possible. I think there's a duty to accommodate. But in terms of, do we hire people who need that off the block? I don't think that happens, but I could be wrong. If backing up on the road is illegal, how can you either back into your driveway or back out on the road? Backing up on the road, so backing up on the road isn't exactly legal that I'm aware of. Like there's backing up on a highway is illegal unless you're going to render assistance, but backing into a driveway is not illegal. What is this? When local roads have signed for no trucks, are there exemptions when the destination is in that area? Yes. And at Kayla, good morning. I don't think I saw anything from you until now, but good to see you. The deal is that if there's a no truck policy, but the moving truck that's trying to get the furniture to the house that is on that street, obviously if you have a direct destination in that place, you're allowed to go there and service it. But you can't use it as a cross street. That's what it's for. What do we got here? Are police allowed to lie to you for their reasoning of pulling you over? Police are allowed to lie for the purposes of pulling people over, for the purposes of interacting with people. We may not tell you why we're pulling you over. We might tell you it's because we want to make sure you're licensed. And it might be because you're wanted in relation to a criminal code offense, and we want to make sure that we don't give you a tip. That there's no requirement to be honest there. Do we 99.99% be absolutely truly transparent? But there are those 1% times when we're dealing with criminal matters, and it's a different situation. What is this? What's the fine for driving a vehicle that does not have a safety? Driving an unsafe vehicle is a pretty intense charge. I don't know what the dollar amount is, though. Being Real says, yes, they are checking seatbelts. I got a $230 ticket last night. It should have been a $240 ticket. I think you typoed with $230. Why were you driving without a seatbelt? I can't imagine being in a car without a seatbelt. I feel naked. Let's see here. That was a good question. Somebody else asked, why aren't you wearing your seatbelt? OPP and Marathon drove over a month with one headlight, said it was on backorder. It's a light bulb. What kind of car is it that has a backordered light bulb? I go to Canadian Tire, I change it in 10 minutes. Okay. Can I jaywalk in Utah? I have no idea what Utah law is. But I do want to find someone in Utah to have a conversation with. I need a guest. I've got a link in my podcast on the TrafficCop.ca link tree. If you know somebody who's a copper in Utah, tell them to look me up and connect so we can have them as a guest on the show. Let's see here. I got a ticket in a 40 zone. My speed was 50. What is the max speed to avoid tickets in a 40 zone? 40. Don't go over 40. It's a 40 zone. What kind of question is that? What's more dangerous, driving 20 kilometers over on the highway or doing 20 kilometers under on the highway? 20 kilometers over is illegal and dangerous. 20 kilometers under is legal and less dangerous, except for the fact that the person who's doing 20 over has a 40 kilometer an hour speed differential, causing everyone to be in danger because of their choices. Don't speed. Let's see here. In terms of ambulance, someone said, what if it's faster to get there yourself? Faster doesn't mean it's the right thing. And faster could be driving lawfully and safely while going to the hospital. You're taking your life in your own hands when you do that, and you're also making it less safe for everybody else. Does a foreign driver's license count as a G2? No, a G2 is a G2. A foreign license is a foreign license. And you cannot use a foreign license here if you're a resident here. If you've moved here, foreign license after 30 days is no longer acceptable. Boom. Any solution for slow drivers on the highway? What is a slow driver? How slow is slow? Because lawful driver is not a slow driver, it's a lawful driver. People get that confused. If you have an accessible permit, do you have to pay for street parking in Toronto? No, street parking you don't. Parking lots you do. I let my friend ride my motorcycle. He went 150 past my camera. Will I lose my license? No, it's not against your license. However, you'll likely get a subpoena and have to come to court and explain yourself. Is the speed camera working full day or only school time? It is full day, all the time, 24/7, unless you're in an area that says it's conditional. I've never heard of that, though. Behave Lady says, some of these questions they are asking are just plain silly as if they don't know. Yeah, but we talk about it anyway. It's time for Canada to dump the metric system? Really? I don't know. It's funny. With temperature, I think about sometimes, Fahrenheit doesn't work for me, but in terms of speed, miles work for me. Feet versus centimeters, I grew up in a time using both, and we're messed up. But we're not the only people who use metric. So I have a 79 Ford 250 with a normal amount of rust. So is that something I can be pulled over for? Can you be pulled over for rust? If we can see the floor or the inside of your car from outside, what's normal amount of rust? Rusty is different than rusted out. Can I ride a dirt bike on the shoulder of the highway? If your dirt bike is a pedal and the highway is a side road and not an expressway, I don't know what I'm assuming you mean motorcycle meant for dirt, and if that's the case, you cannot drive it anywhere on a road, and the road is the side of the road as well. Are LED lights illegal? LED lights aren't specifically illegal. They may be legal depending on where you are. Depending on their way they're installed, if they're aimed properly, if they're the appropriate brightness and color. There's a lot of conditions, but LED lights, I mean, LED lights are factory now. So you're talking about aftermarket. I literally got pulled over for playing music too loud. Is that allowed? Yeah, it's called unnecessary loud noise. The charge is allowed because you broke the law by making a lot of noise from your stereo. So we're allowed to charge you for it because it's against the law. Is there an HTA offense for disabling pedestrian warning systems on EVs? What's the section? I don't know of an offense for that at the moment. I'd have to look up, which I'm not going to do right now. What do we got here? What if the speed of traffic happens to be 20 kilometers over the limit? Would that still be illegal? Yes, because the speed limit is the speed limit, and 20 over means that everybody's breaking the speed limit if that's the flow of traffic. So anyone, if not all, could be pulled over and charged. But I really do have a dream, and that is that every car would get charged because automated enforcement would become a reality. So disappointing. Hag Pesach Sameach. Thank you, and same to you. We have, what is this? What's the minimum vision for someone to obtain their driver's license? I honestly don't know, but if you go to TrafficCop.ca, I've got links to the ministry and what the requirements are, so you could totally get that information very, very easily. All right. Why do they increase speed limit to 110 north end of 404 when everybody speeds already? They've determined that in that stretch, up to 110 kilometers an hour is safe. It's like 16 kilometers of road. The people doing 140 should lose their licenses forever, I think. The people who are speeding above that are not being lawful. So 110 is the maximum in that area. If you're doing more, you're breaking the law. I have a court date for 200 and a 100, but they didn't give me a DOI check and gave me 4 demerits. I'm not following. They gave you demerit points, but they've not convicted you. You're convicted if you have demerit points. You don't get the demerit points on a charge. You get demerit points on a conviction. So you might want to talk to somebody at the court to find out if you really have a court date or if you've been convicted or if the conviction's from something else. Maybe this is one ticket because obviously if you were doing 200 and a 100, you're not a very good driver. Maybe you have some other tickets you didn't realize you had. Check it out. Are electric bikes allowed on the road, the bikes that do not require insurance or license? So, www.TrafficCop.ca, you can go and look at all the regulations on the useful links at the bottom of that page, and that is where you'll find out what the regulations are. So if it meets the requirements to be on the road, it cannot be capable of going more than 32 kilometers an hour, cannot have a motor more than 500 watts in power, cannot have a weight of over 120 kilos. There's a bunch of other things, but they're allowed on the road. They're treated as bicycles at that point. If it was 33 kilometers an hour, that is a motorcycle requiring a license, ownership, insurance, and is not legal for the road. Lawful, unlawful, depends on what your bike is. And I recently had a conversation with somebody in my DM that reached out and said, I bought a 1,000 or 2,000 watt motorcycle, e-bike, I should say. Do I need a license? And I said, yeah. But it's also an unlawful bike. He says, but the dealer said I don't need a license. I said, well, they lied to you. They misrepresented. So he says, I can't return it. What can I do? I said, well, you might have to sue them because the only place you can use that overpowered bicycle that's no longer a bicycle and reverts to its original motor vehicle, motorcycle definition is private property, your private property. So there's a big problem. We have a lot of people who are misrepresenting what is true and people who are being suckered into buying these things thinking they're lawful, and others who are taking lawful bikes, modifying them to make them unlawful. By the way, anyone who's modifying an e-bike, you should not only look at the law, but you should also check out the podcast episode of TPS Traffic Jam, where I talked to the Deputy Chief of Toronto Fire, about thermal runaway because there are e-bikes that are setting fire or combusting spontaneously, thermal runaway where they just set fire or start expelling gases and then burst into flames and bad things happen. So, yeah, not good. What's happening with the car shows? I assume you mean in New York region, the bylaws that have now made it like $10,000 fine to hold a car meet if you're like a business owner. I don't know the details. I was just watching other people's content about it. I guess they're getting serious about stopping that behavior in their jurisdiction, and I respect it. All right. It is 11:30. I've done an hour and a half. My neck hurts because of this new position. I don't like it. Yeah, not good. It's not my thing. I prefer being up there, but we're going to work with this new table that I have to be able to have guests and all that stuff. Maybe we do the show up there sometimes, and if I have guests for podcasting, we do it here. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But I like this. I really do. Like the look. I don't like the neck being sore. What else? All right. Last question from Instagram because I happen to notice it. Oh, 2 questions from Instagram. Isaac, who says, I'm a truck driver. When I want to change lane, nobody gives me space and it's hard to drive. Would you like to say something about this? Yeah, there's a lot of drivers who are really jerks. They don't let people in. They aren't courteous. Use your signals. If you have to slow down so that you can't push them out of the way, but hopefully by slowing down, people figure it out. You reduce your speed a little bit, start edging in, and wake the people up. But we need to be courteous to one another. It's terrible to watch how drivers are so self-absorbed and entitled that they just don't care what anyone else has to do. And I really do feel for you as a trucker out there. You have a tough job. You have a tough job. All right. What do we have here? Last question. If someone behind you is pushing you to move faster when you are already a little past the speed limit, is it advisable to move faster or to avoid road rage? Next lane was completely occupied. Again, same advice I just gave the truck driver. I slow down when people are on my butt. If someone is tailgating me, I let off the gas. I don't slam on the brakes. That would be not a good idea, and it could potentially line you up for some charges. But reducing your speed, signaling and reducing your speed, getting out of the way, here's the big deal. You shouldn't be in the left lane at all if you're just cruising along. And I hate to give them space. But if the jerk who's speeding needs a place to be a jerk and not get on your butt, I stay to the right. I do the speed limit every day. I stay to the rightmost lane unless I'm passing someone who's even going slower than me. It's the way to do it. Listen, I got to go. It's been a slice. I hope you have a wonderful day. Drive sober, drive safe, drive lawfully, park legally, and smile because oddly enough, it looks good on you. Have a great day. I have no music button to press, so I can't make music. See, already a problem I have with this seating position. Take care. Thanks, Mike.